The 60s was a wild time in history. Throughout the world, there was massive change in people's political thinking. There were wars that were being waged, and some people were just partying it up. Some people were horribly racist, and other people had open arms and wanted to take everyone in. I don't know if it would be my first place to visit if I had a time machine, but there are some historical events that cannot be ignored. Hello, Most Amazing Top 10 family. I am your host, Jade Arena, and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. Today, we're going to be counting down the top 10 true scary stories from the 60s. As always, I would love it if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Also, stick around for the whole list because I'm going to be doing some more pet shoutouts, which you guys love so much. Remember, if you want me to shout out your pet, you can hit me up on Instagram. And without taking any longer, let's get into this list. At number 10, we have the first successful heart transplant. Could you imagine going in for a heart transplant surgery and there literally has never been a successful one? The amount of stress you would be under just from that would probably make your heart fail, but hey, this guy was the lucky one. Well, kinda. In 1967, Christian Bernard pulled a man's heart from his chest and inserted a fairly fresh one. The dude lived. He woke up after the surgery and he was able to talk to his wife. Now, the guy did die 18 days later, but at least it worked for a little bit. I mean, if you're going to die anyways, but you have the opportunity to be a part of history, then why not? I'm not saying I would ever do something like that, but for all the people out there who want to be heroes, step right up. That's super cool. Now, the good thing is that this breakthrough pushed the science of heart transplant surgery into a new era. Thanks to the risk that both these men took, we are able to perform this surgery and have people live long, successful lives after. Coming at number 9, we have Marilyn Monroe's found dead. She was the biggest sex symbol of her era. Every dude wanted her, and she became so famous that she slept with the president. Well, allegedly slept with the president, but I think it's safe to say that we all know the two of them were knocking boots. And that's what made her death such a mystery. If we take everything at face value, it would seem that the young star died from a drug overdose. But if we put on our tinfoil hats and dig through a conspiracy bin just for a moment, it might seem that she was killed by the CIA. Ooh, holy cow. The suspicion is that she knew too much. With her getting so close to Kennedy, he might have slipped her a couple of White House secrets, and the American government couldn't have that just floating around, so they sent someone in to take her out. Coming in at number 8, we have the Summer of Love. Now, I personally don't find this scary at all. I think it was awesome. The Summer of Love was when over 100,000 hippies traveled to one neighborhood in San Francisco to live as free people. It might have been the biggest hippie movement in history. There was already a large population of young people living in San Francisco, so it just fit right in. There was live music, healthcare centers, open houses for people to couch surf on, and a whole lot of drug use and unprotected sex. The Summer of Love coincided with a generation of people that were anti-war, anti-establishment, and didn't want to be told what to do. It kind of makes you want to go to San Francisco. Coming in at number 7, we have A Man on the Moon. Once again, isn't the scariest story of all time, but it must have been terrifying for Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong. You're going to land on the moon and no one has ever done it before. Sure, a group of some of the smartest people in the world are telling you that it's going to be fine, but you're the one who has to do it. Of course, you get all the fame, but still, they must have been thinking about what will happen if we crash into the moon. What if we get to the moon, we land, and then we can't get back? What if we burn up on re-entry? But I bet the last thing they thought that was going to happen was that they were going to have to deal with a bunch of people who don't know anything about space travel telling them that they never did it. Could you imagine? You walk on the moon and then someone calls you a liar? Play that clip of Buzz Aldrin punching that moon landing denier in the face.
The kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Coming in at number 6, we have civil rights leader Medgar Evers was assassinated. The sacrifices that people made before us so we could live in a more tolerant world will never be forgotten. Medgar Evers was a war veteran who aided troops in World War II. After enlisting in the army again after the Great War, he came back to America and decided he would dedicate his life to help impoverished black communities. He single-handedly shined a light on the terrible way black people were being treated in the South and would go door to door to encourage black people to vote. Unfortunately, his efforts drew attention of some evil people. Medgar Evers was shot and killed by a white supremacist by the name of Byron Della Beckwith. After 2 trials, Beckwith walked away a free man. It wasn't until the 1990s when public pressure forced the case to be reopened that he was finally sentenced to jail. Coming in at number 5, we have the Cuban Missile Crisis. This was one of the biggest scares in American history. Think about this. You have nuclear arms building up in different countries, with the Soviet Union and the Americans constantly bumping heads and constantly flexing. The Cold War is at an all-time all-time high, and the anti-communist sentiment in America is raging, as well as the anti-capitalist sentiment in the Soviet Union. These two countries hate each other. Then it's discovered that the Soviet Union has been sneaking missiles into Cuba, which is in firing range of the US, and these missiles might have nuclear capabilities. Yeah, if I was living in America at this time, I probably would have been pooping my pants. There wasn't the same missile defense systems like we have today. If Cuba was fully loaded with nukes and the ability to launch them, there would be a good chance that they could get one through and you could say goodbye to a major American city. Of course, the crisis was averted and the Cold War continued in its cold state. Coming in at number 4, we have the Vietnam War. Throughout the 60s, a brutal war waged on Vietnamese soil, which was once again the product of the Cold War, having a split between communist and capitalist ideals. The southern part of Vietnam was supported by the Americans as well as several other countries. They had the advantage on technology, weaponry, and chemical warfare. The Americans dumped a chemical known as Agent Orange all over the Vietnamese jungles in an attempt to destroy the foliage to give the Western troops an advantage. But the understanding of the land and the vast network of tunnels that the Vietnamese built gave them the edge that could not be overcome, and they were able to hold their country. Coming at number 3, we have the Kennedy assassination. This was something that shocked the world. Not only was the president assassinated, but it took place on live TV. The whole nation was watching. A number of other countries were watching. When a bullet came through and took the president's life, after the dust settled, Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested for the crime, but he was shot and killed before he could stand trial. On top of that, there was footage of the event released to the press which revealed there might have been a second shooter, since there was another angle Kennedy gets shot from. The whole event is shrouded in mystery to this day, with everyone and their dog coming up with new theories as to who killed the president and why. This is something we will probably never get to the bottom of unless you join the CIA and they let you look in the super secret files that are kept in the super secret folder. Coming in at number 2, we have the first person in space. You could put this event either on a list of most amazing things to happen in the 60s or a list of the scariest things to happen in the 60s. Imagine being the first person to ever head into the vast unknown of space, where no one can help you, no one can come to pick you up, and most importantly, no one can hear you scream. Yuri Gagarin was a Soviet cosmonaut, and he was the brave man who would put his life on the line to see what it's like beyond the clouds. Upon his return, Yuri was now one of the most famous people in the world. This would be like if someone today went to the center of the earth or walked through a black hole and back. It was something that was just never thought to be possible. The Soviets awarded him with a title known as the Hero of the Soviet Union, which sounds so cool. You would feel like Superman or something after that happening. And coming in at the number 1 spot, we have Martin Luther King's assassination. Martin Luther King was one of the most influential people in American history. He worked tirelessly to make sure Black Americans had the same rights as everyone else. His efforts changed America forever, but when you make that much of an impact, even if it is extremely positive, you can bring unwanted attention from evil people. And on March 29th, 1968, Martin Luther King was shot in his motel room in Tennessee. He was there with his regular crew of people to speak at a workers' conference. Recently, there had been an issue in Tennessee with black workers being unfairly paid less than white workers, and King came to change this. After he was shot, he was rushed to the hospital in an attempt to save his life, but unfortunately, he died not long after reaching the emergency. All right, everyone, that has been our list. Obviously, that was a very heavy at the end there, where we're going to try and lighten the mood a little bit. Remember all the good things that happened right in this moment. Just remember good things. And now it's time to do some pet shoutouts. Remember, guys, if you want me to shout out your pet, you can hit me up on Instagram. I pick new pets every day, so if you don't get picked one day, you can message back another day. I usually pick to message last, so if I don't pick you, you can message again and again and again if you want. I don't care how many times you message me. If it takes me a little while to get back to you, I'm very sorry. I have a lot of these to do. And without taking any longer, let's shout out some pets. To kick things off, we have a parrot who goes by the name of Ash, and he seems like he's enjoying something right there. I can't tell if that's a toy or a treat. Right after that, we have Tigger, who's living up to his name with those orange stripes. This dude is looking like he just came out of the 100-acre woods. Next up, we have Xander, who is sporting an amazing bandana. This dog has better fashion sense than I do. Then we have Eddie, who is looking great, sporting that never-ending tuxedo. And to close it out, we got 3 birds that I didn't get the name for, so as I always do, I will take it upon myself to name these birds. The first bird is named Frank Magoonie, then we have Lupper, and the green bird is the Green Ranger. That's how I'm going to name them. All right, everyone, that is everything we have for you today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, I would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Until next time, I have been your host, Chade Arena, and keep checking in these history things. They're very interesting. Bye. All right, we're recording. This is Crazy True Stories from the 60s. Or scary true stories? Scary. It's always scary.